Jack Smith.
Yeah, and we start with Mitchell Darts, who said, nice of Cass to go easy on us in the second half and not put another 60 on the board. Garbutt's try at the end, though, was hilarious. Spun around after fending off 5 Cass players.
Tyler Cass fan said, well, if Leeds are fed up of losing to Cass, they didn't show much resolve to change that here. Leeds scored first, but after that, Cass scored at will for the rest of the first half. Most of the second half was scratchy and full of errors, but all the damage was done during the first stanza.
Fatboy Rob said, not quite as good as the 1066, the Battle of Hastings.
Very good.
But still a comfortable win for the champions of Europe.
For fuck's sake.
We only needed to play well for 20 minutes to make it 8 in a row against a team from the three-sided stadium. Another Benny Roberts special sealed it, and Eden got 1 try closer to the snake. Sweet Caroline.
Hang on, does it count though now? Is it all season, or did it just was... It is all year, isn't it? It's not up until the split, is it?
What?
The try scoring?
No, it's the whole season. You got to remember, Solomona, I would suspect, played more games. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me from last year, but
I'd stopped following what the total was now.
I'll give you your updated if it's... I think he's got 37 in total.
So wasn't even another 4?
37 or 38 in total, so
another 3 or 4.
I will let you know.
Cool, okay. Where are we up to? Ethan O'Gorman says a very good first half from Cass, but the second half was all Leeds. And the Leeds fans booing Hardacre, that was a no-no. Ooh.
Yeah, he got injured, Hardacre, and I hate this booing players when they're injured.
Yeah.
Malarkey. I hate Jake Connor celebrating when players get knocked out unconscious. I hate fans cheering it, and particularly, when it's an unfortunate injury to a player's had a great season. But hopefully Hardacre won't be out long term. Rich Wilkinson said, "Very strange game. By full time, the result didn't matter. I'm not too fussed that we lost. We will still beat Cass this season if they make it to the grand final. But I'm just not convinced. I just don't think Cass will do it. Leeds finish second, get a home semi-final. What a difference a year makes. Rhinos for champions."
Well, listen, they've had a certain amount of fortuosity come their way, haven't they, this evening, Leeds? But let's talk about the game though, because it was done and dusted as a competition by half time, wasn't it? Really, Cass blew them away. Despite that nice try from Cal Watkins to start things off for Leeds, Cass then just turned it on and crunched through the gears for 40 minutes, didn't they?
Well, neither side seemed to take this one too seriously in terms of defensive effort.
Well, because at this point, it doesn't change a right lot, does it? So perhaps.
And a lot of the tries looked pretty easy. And I would be worried from the Cass perspective. The nature of the Leeds tries, JJB's try from the base of the scrum, and Garbutt's pirouette. Then Ali Lawatiti style windmilling with the ball in one hand to get himself through to score a cracking try, an entertaining try for sure. But it was back to early season Cass, weren't it? It was that back 20 of the first half rather than the first 20 of the second half where they nailed it with a 4 try run in that period of time, and Ben Roberts was the star of the show, which is a positive given that Luke Gale's gone down.
Yeah, no, they look good, don't they, Castleford, in terms of offensive. I wouldn't have been looking for a tremendous amount defensively from either of these two sides, because there'll be a certain amount of subconscious protecting themselves, won't there, going on. For Leeds, though, Matt Parcell, hooker of the year for me. He's slotted into that side. Bear in mind, at the start of the year, people were very disappointed to have lost James Seguiero. So he's come in knowing he's essentially second choice in terms of Leeds' planning, and he's been phenomenal all year for them.
And he's grabbed, another try, another softish try from the Castleford defensive perspective, but you can't take away from him sniffing out another opportunity, which is done.
And his distribution is exceptional as well. He gets the ball out well from dummy half. He's formed a good partnership with both his, compatriot prop forwards, to say the very least, in terms of Garbutt and Cuthbertson.
Yeah, he's had a phenomenal year, but let's not take away from Cass hammered this Leeds team and then slowed down in the second half.
On the right,
didn't really bother tackling. Picked up a couple of knocks. Roberts and Hardacre both picked up knocks. It's a weird situation for them now. Do they risk bringing those players back too early in the next game or two, when they know they won't have Gale for sure for those 2 games? Yeah. And possibly for the 2 games after that they want to be playing in. Yeah. It's a very dicey situation down the pivot positions now, isn't it?
If I'm Darryl Powell, I go for it this week, keep a powder dry the final week of the season, and give people that need that chance to recover and protect those kind of key assets in the final week and then go all for it for the semis in the final?
See, I would probably halfway house it and leave one of the two, Roberts and Hardacre, out. Unless Roberts' injury was as minor as it potentially was. Hardacre's looked a bit worse. I would be thinking give Hardacre's knee a bit longer to recover. I wouldn't want to risk getting another knock on it against a fired up side that are in last chance saloons, even though they're in third place now. Wigan, they're still in. I just think it's... And these are phenomenal players who've had phenomenal seasons. Gale, Hardacre, Roberts, once he got into the side after the first 6 weeks or so. So, Castleford have done what Castleford have done. Put a load of points up, hammered a team, and then in this case, they switched off.
Yeah, and that's the story of it. What do the stats tell us?
Defensive intensity seemed to take a week off for the top two, as this game had the most missed tackles of any game this year, 93. Both sides had tackle success rates in the 80%. As a team overall. We don't talk about teams being in the 8% unless they get beat normally, so that's not great. Cass made more ground at a slightly better average gain too, helped by more ball from 5 extra errors by Leeds. This led to 8 breaks to 3 from Cass and 6 tries to 4, so they didn't take advantage of all their extra breaks, but enough.
Who stood out for us for Castleford then?
Ben Roberts with 2 tries, 7 tackle busts, 115 metres and 3 clean breaks. Alex Foster with a try, 5 tackle busts, 114 metres. Mike McMeekin with 117 metres, 2 clean breaks. Zach Hardacre, 2 tries, 107 metres.
And for the Rhinos?
Matt Parcell, your best mate. 1 try, 1 try assist, 42 tackles. Callum Watkins, a try, 9 tackle busts, 5 successful offloads. Mitch Garbutt, a try, 9 tackle busts, 132 metres, 3 successful offloads. I can't believe I didn't put him in my fantasy team at some point. Ryan Hall, 135 metres and 3 successful offloads.
There you go. Okay, so at the same time as that was going on, it was the Battle of the KC. Over in Hull, it finished 22 points to 6 as Hull took on the Wigan Warriors in a repeat of the Challenge Cup final from a couple of weeks ago in front of 11,291. Refereed, inverted commas, by Robert Hicks.
Yeah, we start with David Lawrenson, who, for context, is a Wigan fan. He said, red card, yes. Team's discipline, both teams. Poor. Ref, tough gig. Bloody good game, though.
There you go. Mark Butler says, a gripping game and plenty to think about.
A North Wales Crusaders fan.
Fair enough.
I'm just giving context for this, because we're going to need it on some of these.
Okay.
Mark Butler.
For context, a North Wales Crusaders fan. Okay, a gripping game and plenty to talk about. Is there really a debate about the red card? Run with your elbow out and bust someone in the face and you walk the plank, surely. Despite that, I don't know how Hull didn't win. I don't mean to provoke, but I'm convinced that we're going to get in there on belligerence alone and aren't actually that good. They're going to win it again, aren't they? That's exactly how I'm starting to feel.
Tom Eckley 99, who's a Warrington fan, said, I might be in the minority, but I actually feel a red card was harsh but understandable call under the circumstances. Hicks does not deserve the criticism for losing control of the game. Blame should lie with the players. Is it too much to ask for a whole game without mass ref bashing?
Yeah, they do get a bit of refs faulty, don't they? AK Steel 69. Always a pleasure to get to read this out. Let's get this straight. Hull didn't lose because of the sending off. They lost because of Snead's daft pass and the inability of officials to spot a forward pass. Watts got sent off for great footwork and McAloram's shit tackling technique. Hull were the better team, but sometimes you don't get what you deserve. The lesson seems to be, in TV games, make a fuss or feign injury and get the VR to review the tackle. Furious. Wow.
I did have to clarify him whether he thought McAloram was feigning injury, and he said no, that wasn't what he meant. He was talking about the more general context.
No, I didn't even think for a second that was what he was implying.
Well, I did, to be honest.
No, really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think he would imply. I think
that's what I thought, but he said that wasn't what he meant by that. I think he was more talking about the Griffin cannonball on Bateman, where I don't believe Bateman made a fuss, but the referee did.
I think he's commenting more broadly on the game where we see it every so often.
But then there was a couple of instances where he feels there was dangerous contact potentially on a Ryan Sutton tackle on the back of the legs on a Hull player. Similarly, no further action at all from the match review panel. I think that was slightly higher up on the legs. And there was Sam Tompkins one where he flipped, where sort of when Albert Kelly was grounded, he kind of took him over the horizontal, and Hull fans think he twisted the ankle as well. I believe it was a stupid tackle, and he was rightly penalised for it, but I don't believe there was any forcible, deliberate twist of any joints. But nothing came out of that match review panel wise. And then I guess he didn't know, but I didn't mention this one, maybe the Danny Houghton spear tackle on Oliver Gildart that some of the Wigan fans picked up on, where again there was no kerfuffle afterwards injury wise, so nothing got looked at. Whereas the point he's making is when there's a kerfuffle injury wise, they're looking at these things and people are getting repercussions or whatever. So it's probably talking about the ones that have come before, the one at Leeds last week, for example, for Ellis. But I had to clarify that with him, because in this game the injury that led to a finger, a review and then a thing was the McLaurin one, wasn't it? He was.
Well, he did clarify. To be honest, that's not what I took from his comments, but obviously at the time, it's something that you felt you need to clarify. Okay, who's next?
Tyler Casfan said who's a Cas fan, said a real edge to this game right from the kickoff, and it was no surprise when it boiled over into a bit of biff. If yellow cards were shown then, I don't think the red card happens. Wigan took a hold of the game after that, but credit to 12 men of Hull for coming right back into it near the end.
There you go. Paul O'Brien said it was a great game with loads of talking points. Thought Hicks lost control of the game. Didn't think the sending off was the correct call. Yet another game showing that TV games are refereed differently than the non-TV games.
David Pye said, "What a battle. Thought it was a great game, really enjoyed it. Not a sending off for me though. Two Warriors in a battle, race forearm, caught the elbow by mistake at top speed with two committed players. This will happen sometimes. Was unfortunate, but not a sending off."
Sarah McKenzie says, "Quite frankly, I agree." She's a Hull fan, for context. "Quite frankly, I agree with my son's assessment that the referee is an idiot. I didn't resort to tears then."
Oh no. Poor Josh.
I know, bless him. No way.
Between the lines.
Yeah. No way was it a red. Team played admirably and were unlucky in the end. Wigan caught us out with the cut-out pass, which we failed to deal with.
Paul Loader Lewis said, "Easily my favourite TV this game so far this year, but then I'm old school and love a bit of biff. I could almost hear Barry and Terry tying their laces in the commentary box, desperate to get on the field. I know you and others will cover it, but in my mind it was never a sending off, and a yellow to Kelly earlier may have prevented it."
He's absolutely made the point I'm about to make. Go on. Next one is B. Oh, before we move on to that, did you hear the Super League podism that Barry was kind enough to drop into?
Yeah, I put it out.
Commentary, there
the
you
golden
go.
edge.
The golden edge.
Amazing.
Oh,
I got hard, Tom, when I was it was golden time in the Illingworth house.
I suspected. What did you pause it? Right, I'm upstairs.
No. How could I pause that?
We might not want to waste it. Okay, Brendan Loftus says, "Could have been the best game on Sky this year. Unfortunately, the best ref in the country was in the box. End-to-end action, great moments in attack from both teams, some great defence and just enough spice for the old-timers' winky face. Thought Hull would just try and get through the game when the second half started, but once they got on top and then took the lead, I wondered if the injury crisis would rear its head. Fair play to Wigan for the fight back in the last 10 minutes when they fell behind. Bentley again had a strong game, really wish he played for Hull. Hull had enough chances to win the game, but just couldn't get the ball down a couple of times. Tompkins really needs to stop being a bell end though. He's detracting from his legacy. Wigan turned up angry, which is understandable, and Eddie proved again he doesn't get RL."
I didn't know Tompkins had a legacy other than being a bell end with anyone that isn't a Wigan fan, to be honest.
I
thought that was where he he sat for everyone who wasn't a Wigan fan.
I feel he doesn't do himself tremendous amount of favours with some of his actions on the field, but that doesn't, in my mind, detract from his. That doesn't detract from my admiration of his innate high-level skill as an athlete, but it does sour it somewhat for me from time to time, and I was amongst those people. There was a couple of times where he niggled at Albert Kelly in bits and pieces that were unnecessary towards the middle part of the second half. I just come on now.
The aggro that kicked off,
but that was far from the worst aggro.
The aggro that kicked off the whole, for me, this is my version of events, so I'm probably going to be pissing Hull fans off or anyone but fans or whatever. But my interpretation of the events that led up to the sending off, which I think was a harsh call, and we'll get to that, is Jake Connor came from an offside position to swing an arm round over the top of the shoulder of Sam Tompkins and hit him around the side of the head very deliberately, very close to the line, very shortly before Wigan scored a try down his side through his area, where he probably wasn't at fault. The defence had got drawn in, but still, you know, you can see then why an agitated, just had his head swung at Wigan player might chirp back at
Yeah,
him
of course.
at that point.